There is something new every day. The future feels so unpredictable. Where could we be in 15 years? Our playgrounds may change. Learning may not need classrooms. Robots might help us meet time for more important things. Will virtual life be our new social life? Coming? Don't worry about what the future will look like. Just prepare for it. Fearless plans from Aegis Federal Life Insurance help you and your family prepare for the future.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Backstage with Boria with Ian Bishop, one of my favorite commentators, somebody I've known for a long, long time. Ian, let me straight dive into something that all of us are awaiting. After a long time, it'll be India v Pakistan in the Asia Cup and India v Pakistan in the World Cup. You've commentated, you've watched this rivalry, your thoughts on this particular rivalry and how it is like to see it from the commentary box.
I think it's a fantastic rivalry. If we go back to one of the meetings at the T20 World Cup in Australia last year, it was just, you couldn't have written a better script at the MCG with a full house and it going down to the last full. And it just shows the general interest, not only within the two nations, but beyond the two nations in that sort of battle. So it's something, Boris, that I hope that we will see more of. And perhaps the absence of it is that novelty aspect is something that has built the steam around it, but it's always fascinating to watch.
And a word on the two people that all of India will want to perform. Word on Virat Kohli. You watched him in the West Indies. You watched him every time. A word on Virat Kohli. Can he sort of stand up for India?
I hope so, because he was one of the guys that stood up in that T20 World Cup battle in 2022. And he's a man with a sense of occasion, a master of the white ball and particularly the 50-over format. So I think that he will be very aware of the magnitude, as always, of that type of contest and the history around it.
And Rohit Sharma as captain will be under pressure because we've not won anything over a period of time in terms of an ICC tournament. Thought on Rohit Sharma and how you have seen him as skipper?
Rohit's been an outstanding batter, and particularly if you talk about his record in, let's say, the 50-over format, has been a general of that format. Now he's making a really good fist of his test batting. As far as the leadership role is concerned, he's obviously very aware that India, with all its resources, playing resources and economic resources, the fulfillment of another ICC tournament, I think since that in that tournament in England, Champions Trophy, is something they definitely want. And I think these next, I would say, few months is critical to cementing his legacy as a leader if he can take some of that silverware back home.
Absolutely. And in fact, that's the question, Ian. I mean, we've come close, twice making it to the WTC final. We did well in the last 2019 50-over World Cup. Where do you think India is lacking? You've been ringside. You've been a top player yourself. Is it about pressure, about the occasion? Where do you think India is lacking?
Well, I think if you're talking the WTC, you're probably thinking, have all the requisite players been available at critical points in time. You can perhaps look at ideal preparation. When they played New Zealand, New Zealand were playing a test series in England just prior to that. Australia had been in England for a longer period prior to that. So those are two critical things, especially if you're going to do this sort of final and championship in the UK. That's a place you have to acclimate yourself in a better capacity for leading up to that. When it comes to the white ball formats, I think they needed a little bit of tweaking in the shortest format, more dynamism, more aggressive leadership. Jasprit Bumrah missing for so much of a period of time has also been a good hit. So I hope that Jasprit is fit and firing the next time this sort of championship comes around, because the pace bowling of India, for us, is going to be critical. Any team that wants to win these sorts of championships and titles have to have that depth of fast bowling, I think, anyway.
You know, Ian, 2011 home team, 2015 home team, 19 home team. Do you think this is our best chance? The World Cup on home soil in front of our fans. We will get every possible support for the team. Is it our best chance?
I think it's a chance you'd rather have because you know the conditions better than anyone else, even though maybe some of the seam bowling, fast bowling options, you want to improve on that. But from a batting perspective, there's so much dynamism and so many options there, knowing the conditions. Yeah, I would think this is as good a chance as any for India to cement that position and get to an ICC title. The pressure is another thing, the expectation of all these people. But I think this group tends to absorb it a little bit better than maybe previous generations.
Because of the experience that some of these guys have, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, any of these fellows, Ravindra Jadeja, because they've played in World Cups before, they've been there, done that. Does that kind of help to soak in the pressure in front of home crowds?
It does. It does, because there's a two-edged sword to home crowds. I know from playing, let's say if I'm playing at the Queen's Park Oval during my career, I felt a lot of pressure because the expectation was there and people would shout all sorts of very canny things if you weren't getting wickets, and you'd want the ground to open up and you'd disappear. But once you've garnered enough experience, you can compartmentalize things a lot easier because you know there's a process to stuff. And if you have a bad over or a bad session, you can recover from it. So that experience is always absolutely vital in any team that is going to win one of these ICC tournaments.
Let's set it up about, the India-Pakistan thing again. I mean, Babar Azam versus Virat Kohli is a debate. Shaheen Afridi versus Rohit Sharma is a debate. How, as a fast bowler and as a premier commentator, how do you look at these mini battles within these battles, which fans are always talking about?
It's always great. Shaheen Afridi is a world-class performer, an exciting performer. I look forward to seeing Shaheen Afridi match up against India. I look back for the return of, say, a Jasprit Bumrah against any other person in the world. So I always say, very few teams are going to win any global titles without a fast bowling repertoire of the highest standards. So as a former fast bowler, the world cannot survive without fast bowlers.
Okay, last question before you go. Are you going to, you will be here commentating. Are you telling me that, hand on heart, Ian Bishop is giving my country hope that India can? Tell me that.
I am. Knowledge of conditions is paramount to any success. That's an advantage. It still means you have to do a lot of the legwork. So I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying there is a more significant chance than people who have not understood the conditions.
Okay, Ian Bishop, I'll let you go there. I would have loved to talk more, but given the paucity of time, I will let you go. But thank you very, very much for joining me on Backstage with Boria and setting up the World Cup and India versus Pakistan. Thank you very much, Ian.
And thank you for selecting me on the World Cup. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.